disappointed in every one of you.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to offend you.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I kiss you on the mouth.
No, I'm not cool with that. Just, I'm sorry.
One more time.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I mean, I'm dealing with degenerate animals.
I'm disappointed in every one of you. Disappointed in every one of you.
All right, come on.
Honestly, I can't do it no more.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
Let me tell you why.
It's gonna be all right, Nicky. Go ahead, shoot.
You just killed a fucking man.
What are you going to do about it?
You're happy because you got nothing. You don't got a thing. You're happy because you got nothing.
Lomito!
Got nothing.
I want to get out of this rat hole. I want to get online. I need
BDA boxing.
All right, this is King Bucho. Welcome to BDA Boxing, the Boxing Debate Arena post-fight show, Sunday post-fight show. We had a show yesterday. We're gonna be uploading the last episode on Spotify today. So it takes us like a few hours, 24 hours at least, to upload the episodes on Spotify. All right, guys. But we'll upload the last episode and this episode as well. Okay. Just it takes time because we have to download the episode and then upload it. So yeah. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Paracua, we have Tupac 13, John Doe, Guerrero de la Info, Alfredo Contreras, Aaron Cuco. Who else do we have here? Team Batman Boxing, Joe is also in the chat. All right, guys, let's get this party started. This time around, we're gonna listen more to what the panel has to say about this fight, and then we're gonna take phone calls. Yesterday was only phone calls. Today we're going to the panel. All right, so we have Gonzalo, Mr. BDA, and Jimmy. Guys, welcome to the show, and please give us your thoughts about this fight. A lot of people are saying that Canelo's done. Go ahead.
Hey, how's it going?
What's up?
Well,
go ahead. Yes.
I spoke a little bit. While BDA was on a few hours ago. I don't think Jimmy was there. So, but I'm just gonna mention to your last remark. Is he done? Just to put it into perspective, 10 years ago or 11, in 2013, Canelo fought another southpaw. And he also dropped him one time. This was Austin Trout. A lot of people thought that was a draw or that maybe Austin Trout did enough. I thought Canelo clearly won. But the point is that he lost rounds. 10 years later, now, he clearly beats this dude. The guy only gets 2 rounds, maybe at best, drops him, and now you're going to say the guy's he's old? Canelo kind of suffers from this thing that he doesn't throw a lot of punches. We know that from the stamina. But just because he had this type of showing today, which was dominant, doesn't mean he's getting ready to go out the door, because he's always displayed this type of fighting in regards to the stamina. That's all I just got to say.
Okay, so it's not a big deal. Jimmy? I don't know if you're ready. Maybe not.
Yeah, can I just have 1 moment? Gonzalo, continue talking for give me, I just got to bring the dogs in.
Sure.
Sorry.
Well, I mean, Gonzalo, you're making some good points, but some people just really don't see it that way. They say Canelo struggled. He needed to get this guy out. John Ryder is not a tough opponent, something we've been discussing before this fight took place. That, some people are bringing this up. And now they're saying, Benavidez is ready to take him out. I just have to say this. If you guys think that Canelo's going to fight David Benavidez the way he fought Ryder, I think you are completely wrong here. And I'll give you an example. Floyd Mayweather, and when he fought Conor McGregor, the guy did not respect Conor McGregor. So that guy Floyd was just going forward. Now it might not be a perfect example, but I'm just saying that if you don't respect your opponent, you just come forward. I'll give another example. Actually, Golovkin when he fought Monroe Jr. or Dominic Wade. Even Kell Brook, Golovkin was happy to take some punches, although he was taking them in his forehead because the way he places his head is kind of strange. So, and he didn't really care, and nobody was saying, "Oh, he's shot, he's done, it's over." So go ahead. I think Gonzalo wants to say something about this.
No, it's just some people are even questioning. You could see there's like a lot of casuals that I don't know if they do it on purpose because it's pretty fucking simple to understand. Common sense. They go, well, where's Canelo's defense? Dude, Canelo didn't lose the ability to fight defensively. He's always had good defense. He just didn't decide. He didn't choose to utilize it, right? He kind of fought down to, I think as he's mentioning, to Ryder's level. They're kind of like equal size and length, so they just decided to trade punches. And guess what? Canelo was better at it. And obviously, I think it was a dominant performance because even if you win like an entire fight, you can't win like absolutely like every round. You're gonna have to take some round off because if you go hard every fucking round, you're gonna get tired and you gotta take a break sometimes to catch your win. And that gives the opportunity for the other guy to rally back. And Ryder's a strong dude. For some reason, I thought that Rocky Fieldham had stopped him. And Ryder mentioned that this is the first time he's ever been down in his career. Just something to consider.
Some people are saying that.
All right, gentlemen.
Well, welcome back, Jimmy. Canelo's best days are.
Thank you.
Canelo's best days are behind him. That's what some people are saying.
Of course they are, dude. I'm kidding me. I mean, what do you expect?
Mm-hmm.
He fucking put a dude who on his ass who's never been. Look at, dude. I get forced into being like this fucking Canelo fanboy. But if people go back in the first 2 years of the show, I was called a Canelo hater because what I was saying is negative things about Triple G. Like, I'm in this for the game of boxing. I don't give a fuck about Canelo or any of these guys. I truly don't. But I'm also not a fucking douchebag. I'm not motivated by something other than the love of the sport. This dude started at 140. He fought a kid who started at 160, who's never been stopped in his career, by the way. That stoppage against Nick Blackwell, see, unlike a lot of people who go by BoxRec, 2013 or 14 or whatever it wasn't really that long ago, and I remember that fight. It was the typical British bullshit stoppage that we've seen recently, where the dude's still coming forward, got fight in him, and the fucking ref jumps in and ends it. So this dude's never been stopped before. He's a come-forward fighter, limited skill, but one thing has never been questioned is his toughness. And Canelo dropped his ass. For the first time in his career, a dude who started at 140, who barely lost a round. He might have been taking shots, but with a big fucking, like, wobbling his legs. And at any time, did Canelo look hurt or, like, fucking wobbled? Like, oh, shit, the crowd's, like, grabbing their breath. No. He's got this insane... His detractors, because basically what it is, they're bitter because they know their guy... By comparison, achievements, abilities, I'm going to talk abilities, but achievements, or even what they're going to achieve in the sport, not only pales in comparison, it's almost a joke. So because of that, they make all of like this, oh, he's done. And you know what I mean? They get a little cabal of them going on Twitter and they think it's all fun and games and shit. But yet we saw what we saw. It was a one-sided beating. I totally forgot. I could have swore he's like you, Gonzalo. I thought he was stopped by a couple of dudes. I don't know why I was thinking that going into this. It wasn't until after last night I saw him take those shots while watching the fight. I said, let me go see. I can't really remember. I remember that Nick Bach, fight. And I ran back and I watched it. It was a bullshit stoppage. It shouldn't have been stopped. So this dude's never been stopped. So this talk of he's fucking done is insane. I saw a 32-year-old dude who can no longer fight like he's 54 because he's 68. But that's a lot of mass on a small frame. Think about it, guys. Like, that would be like Lomachenko all of a sudden putting on 15 pounds, 20 pounds of muscle. He's not going to fight. You can't fight. It's not that he's not going to. You can't fight. When your frame is like mostly like if this skeleton, say they both died and they were laying on side by side on the ground, you saw John Ryder's frame next to Canelo, you say, well, there might have been boyfriend, girlfriend, I don't know, until you check the pelvis, because there would have been that big a difference in the skeleton frame. Canelo has a lot of mass on him, and that takes a lot of energy to fucking, pump oxygen to and through. So because of that, he has to be he can't overpunch himself, and he's smart enough and he's relaxed enough in there, not to do it. And he feels it. So if there's rounds that he seems not to be throwing as much, probably went back to the corner. His legs might have been burning. His lungs might have been burning a little bit more. Okay, I take it easy because I don't want to be that asshole who's caught out there fucking guppying and a dude teeing off on you. Because that Kid Ryder's a big, strong, tough dude. He's just limited in skills. But the fact that because Canelo didn't stop John Ryder, who, again, has never really been stopped before, never been down. In fact, his stoppage didn't go down because it was one of those ridiculous stoppages. So it's absurd. I mean, unless Canelo went out there and starched this motherfucker in 4 rounds, it was going to be a joke. So I just can't wait to hear the calls. You know what I'm saying? I'm done.
Yeah. Jimmy, or also Gonzalo, could Canelo have won this fight differently?
I mean, Jimmy just said it. Like, for some reason, I thought this guy had been stopped before. No, he had never been knocked down. He could have got the knockdown, but like Jimmy said, the dude's never been stopped. For some reason, I think a lot of people believe that. Apparently, like, the Rocky Fielding fight was a robbery, too. That was bullshit. And some other fight, he deserved to win it, the Smith fight. Could he have got the knockdown? Maybe, because he dropped him. Could he put the pedal to the metal in the 5th round and got him out of there? I think it was close to like the bell ringing. So it all depends, man. But I actually think he looked better than like the example that I mentioned 10 years ago when he fought Austin Trout at 54. This is the difference. That was at 54. He lost rounds. He lost arguably like 5 rounds. Some people said I had it a fucking draw, dude. I thought he clearly won, but now he wins almost the entirety of the whole fight, maybe 10 or 11 rounds out of the 12. And all of a sudden he's ready to go. So, like,
Gonzalo, some people are going to say that Ryder is not Austin Trout. They're going to say Austin Trout is better, more technical.
Austin Trout is also a lefty, but he doesn't crack. John Ryder, aggressive. They're kind of similar in the sense that they put the pressure. They're not the same style. No, they're not. But I mean, Jesus Christ, Austin Trout. Really?
Exactly. Austin Trout, and that's a fight some people thought he lost too. You know what's so funny? You know who knew he didn't lose? Austin Trout. Because before they even read the fucking cards, Austin Trout, being a stand-up dude, went over to him and gave him his belt. Before they fucking called, he's like, yeah, I didn't win this fight. He knew it. His family knew it. It wasn't even close. You know what I mean? So that was just this kid has gotten an... You know, I feel kind of... I used to give him a little shit, but go Gonzalo.
My point is that in that fight, he did lose rounds. This fight, he did it. Well, it's 10 years later, but now you're saying he looks shop-worn, where 10 years ago, he lost many rounds, and it was a questionable victory in many people's eyes. But now it was without a reasonable doubt that he freaking won.
Oh,
so you can't say that all of a sudden it's like because he's old. I'm not saying that he isn't getting old, but I'm saying that a lot of people are just chomping at the bit to put it in that category.
And I'd say, Gonzalo, it isn't even the age, because he's not a drinker. From what you hear, he's not a party. He's not out doing drugs and shit. He plays golf all the time. Keeps himself in good shape. If anything, he might be getting shop-worn, because there's only so many camps you can go through. And especially, I mean, the dude, listen, he's not just, he doesn't have money that he could fucking, a couple of bad investments could be broke. This dude's got serious wealth where you need to keep it in separate fucking banks. Because, you know what I mean? Like, serious wealth. So, to still keep that edge and the sharpness of his punches, Gonzalo, what would have happened to Trout if Trout would have eaten some of those punches last night?
Oh, yeah. I mean, he would have. He dropped them one time also, and he was also lefty. I mean, it's a different Canelo. My point is, it's been 10 years, 10 or 11 years, because Canelo's 33 in 1 month from now. So that was a long time ago. That was when Canelo was like in 23, 24 in the prime of his youth. So it's been 10 years later, and he kind of performs along the same lines, but not going to say along the same lines. He clearly was more dominant in this fight than that fight against the lefty. And then he also dropped. He dropped this guy as well. But, clearly, you're not going to say 10 years ago that Canelo was shot. Obviously not. I mean, that doesn't fit the narrative. Obviously, a 23-year-old kid or man. But now 10 years later, you're going to be, that's why, because he's old. Yeah, obviously, he's getting older. But you can't really pin it on that exactly. Now, you can relate it to that because obviously he's 34, 33, and it kind of fits the narrative. But just think about it.
Exactly. And I'd say too, brother, the thing is, like, and I don't want to take anything away from that kid too, man. That British kid's tough as fucking nails. Because it was, like I said, I was watching a fight. I saw him eat some shots. Well, we all saw him eat some shots. Some of those uppercuts. I mean, he was right up. He walked into a couple of them. Like, those shots would have put down most dudes. Like, really, he blew his nose out. His nose was absolutely shattered. I guarantee he needed stitches inside his mouth, the way the blood was pouring out of his mouth, too. That kid took a fucking beating. So, hey, props to him. Listen, that kid's tough as nails. No wonder no wonder Boo Boo wanted nothing to do with him. Seriously,
guys.
Now I know why. You know what I'm saying? No wonder people avoid that fucking kid.
All right, in the chat, I'm gonna restart this software that I use on. So you're on Discord. Don't worry about it. So I'm talking to the people on YouTube. I'll be right back. You're gonna have and go. We're live. It's still red.
All right. Oh.
Jesus.
Well, I just want to say too, mine was in response of him of the critics. My talk of the fight. Yes, this thing's in there. You're gonna see him because he doesn't throw as many punches, but I don't think he ever got caught too clean either with too many shots. But so, Mr. BDA, what do you think?
BDA. I don't know where he is.
We're back on, right?
Yeah, I don't know. He's gone.
I was waiting to see if we're back. I think we are. I think people in the chat are saying that we are back. Okay, yeah, we're back. Okay. Jimmy and Gonzalo and Butcher, you make some great points. I'll just say, reiterate what. First of all, I think the reason why just a little correction. I think the reason why Trout didn't complain too much was because I guess Canelo's because they were doing the open scorecards that fight. So I think he knew he the last time they'd read the scorecards in the 10th round. I think maybe he knew, fuck this. There's no way I'm winning a decision. But even then, like, I've never heard him say, or maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think I've ever heard him say, that was a robbery. I should have won that fight. Like, he knew he wasn't landing enough shots to win comprehensively. So there's that. And then Gonzalo makes a good point that was 10 years ago. He was losing rounds back then. This time he wins virtually every round and people are saying he's finished. But I understand why people are saying he's finished because the way he won the fight with just one sledgehammer shot at a time was impressive. The fact that, when Gonzalo said during the week, I think he stops Ryder, I said, I don't know, fucking Ryder, he's a bulldog. He's built like a tank. Like, if he stops him, he's going to have to do it with a body shot or something. So when the 5th round came along and the guy's bleeding from the nose like a stuck pig, then he gets dropped. I said, holy shit, he's going to fucking Greg Haugen him. But to John Ryder's credit, he survived. But I also think that's to Canelo's detriment because he was doing two things, basic things in this fight. Lead left hook to the body to get him to drop his hands. And then he would lead with a big right hook. And every once in a while, he would mix in a straight right. And that was it. Just rinse and repeat. And for a fight being on pay-per-view, I would have liked to have seen him throw a couple of more combos. But that's the style that he's been fighting now for the past, I want to say 4 years since the Kovalev fight. Now, but obviously, though, like Gonzalo and you guys keep saying, he's not. If he fights Benavidez, he's not going to fight that way. It's like Mayweather, would fight a certain style against certain guys, and then he would mix it up against a different style. So the top guys, pound for pound, they know how to fight differently. It's like, you're not gonna. I mean, think about it. Last September when he fought Golovkin, he was showing body movement. When he fought Bivol a couple months before that too, he made Bivol miss a lot too. So I think definitely people are exaggerating when they're saying that he's done. But one thing I didn't like, and this has nothing. I don't think this is disputable. His stamina. In the last round, he did try to go after Ryder, and Ryder was clinching and letting his hands go, and Canelo just didn't have that. Like, he tried to turn on the afterburner and it just wasn't quite there, which is what happens with older fighters. Like they can still do the things they used to do, but then once it comes time to really turn on the afterburner, whoops! All of a sudden, there's not as much gas as there was before. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I truly believe that has more to do with is just he can't throw so many punches. Again, it's not natural for him to be a 168. Basically, he just doesn't want to cut weight anymore. So instead he's just put on mass. Probably only has to cut fucking 10 pounds from the time his walk around weight till the time his fight weight. He probably only walks around 185 because he plays golf all the time. It's the last sport he really enjoys playing too. I guess he goes to all the best courses, so he's really into it. So you don't want to be too fat or muscle bound. So he's trying to stay at a certain weight. No, I just think that's just who he is at this point. And I think he realized when he didn't put that kid away with those punches and that kid come up off the canvas and fought on, you just know, like, yeah, man, I pretty much caught that kid with about as best as I'm going to hit him with. So I might as well just, like, win the fight. And he did. That 12th round, again, Ryder showed heart and balls. But the thing is, like I said, Dudu ducked him. Okay. I would imagine after the fight, did right away, like, well, I can't because his dance card's already filled for the next 3 years. But was Benavidez or anybody else saying, I want a piece of Ryder? Let me fight him. Like, I know he had too many other people calling him out, because I'll tell you right now, that's a fucking tough fight. You know what I mean? Limited skill, but I want to see somebody else put him away, because this dude's never been put away. And to Gonzalo's point, that's the first time he's been off his feet in his career. And he did it by a dude who started at 140 pounds. What the fuck? I just can't. You know what I mean? It's just like, what the fuck else is this guy supposed to do?
And you know what though? Can I just say something real quick? It's
yes.
You just reminded me of something, like, because Gonzalo was saying too, is like, man, those power shots, he was busting him up and all that. You said the same thing. One thing I will say is, even though he couldn't get the knockout, at least he kept putting pressure on the guy. You know what I mean? He wasn't just running around looking for one perfect shot. So I can't fault him too much for him not stopping him, because at least he tried. Now we can criticize the fact that he didn't throw enough shots or enough combos, blah, blah, blah. But at least you're right, he did put a beating on a guy who, I mean, Callum Smith, who's knocking people out at 175 now, barely beat him. Like some people thought Ryder beat him. So the fact that Canelo was able to do this just goes to show you that there are still levels to this. And I'm curious though, or maybe Butcher wants to talk about this later, I don't know, but can Benavidez take these type of shots? That's what I'm interested in.
Oh, we've never seen it. We've never seen him take those kind of shots. And now I need to know. Yeah, this is a shame that I'm asking. I should already be prepared with this. Shame on me. But Canelo, for instance, his number of punches he threw last night. Gonzalo, you might know. Is that the average at 168? Is he? Well, my question is he throwing the average punches? Is it way below, or is it even more? Because if it's at the average or more, you know what I mean. I'm just curious. Can anybody tell me?
I'm not sure.
I think BDA mentioned it the other day. I think I don't know what the average is for super middle, but Canelo threw around 350. But when he fought Golovkin the second time, or was it Bivol, he threw like 600.
You know what, Gonzalo? He actually threw above average yesterday. He threw 459. Usually he throws about 300 something. This time he threw 459. So it does mean that even though there were single shots, he threw a lot of sledgehammers in there.
Yeah, exactly. And then I even think if, like, I made an example. Like, if you gifted Canelo, like, at this point, and you say, here, there's more stamina for you. I'm going to give it to you in, like, a little fucking genie bottle. Here, use it. He would apply that stamina. Instead of throwing combinations, he would put it more to, like, throwing harder with it. He wouldn't necessarily use it to throw more punches. He would just say, "You're giving me more stamina. Oh, I'm gonna use this to throw even heavier than I am doing now. I'm gonna throw heavier sledgehammers." That's just the way he's gonna go, because obviously, when you throw a lot of punches, you're also opening yourself up for counters. I know, and I mentioned, and everybody knows this. Well, a lot of people do that. Sometimes offense is a good defense, but that's in some instances depending on the style of fight and the fighter you are and who you're facing, right? In the case of these guys, they're bigger dudes. You don't want to throw all caution to the wind and open yourself up for counters as well, right?
Yes, right. You're right, man. And that's the thing, though. It's I want to give a shout out to KA9 because he makes a good point. He says, I think Nelo is fine. It was weird seeing him move, not seeing move. It was weird seeing him not move his head as much, but I think people are too reactionary in boxing. No one lets things settle. That's an excellent point. It's boxing fans tend to be very reactionary. If a guy doesn't look as dominant as he used to, oh, he's finished. Let me tell you, yes, he could stomp him. That's a minus. But he did put a beating on the guy. He did try to take him out. That's why I don't understand the whole he's done thing. Maybe, listen, maybe against Benavidez, yes, it's enough for Benavidez to beat him because he's going to be able to outwork him. But if Benavidez beats him, he's going to have to go through hell those first 6-7 rounds because he's going to have to be able to take those shots or block them or deflect them somehow. And he's not a mover. But if that fight happens, it has to happen now because Canelo's only going to get older. And I don't like this thing now of the Benavidez is deciding to wait him out by staying with the PBC.
LT Boxing in this matter in the chat says they fought 5,000 above sea level. Come on. Las Vegas is easy compared to Guadalajara. What do you think, guys, about the... Yeah.
That's a good point. That's
Excellent
a good point. Yeah, it's a good point. What was I going to mention? Yeah. Fuck, man.
You forgot.
My bad. Yeah, I forgot.
But Gonzalo, you said that so you're saying that if Canelo has more stamina, he's settled into that style now of, well, if I have more stamina, I'm just gonna put more money.
Oh yeah,
on that.
Yeah. I'm just gonna put more oomph into the punch instead of throwing combinations. I'm just gonna go heavier with the punch, and I think it might be. And please, people don't think that because I'm exaggerating a little. It's like the little man syndrome because you're fighting bigger dudes that are like 6 foot tall. So obviously, dude, you're thinking in your mind, I got to put everything under my punch to get the respect out of the dude. And he's actually hurting these guys. Like Jimmy was saying before, dude, this guy moved up from 140, actually fought for a title. Well, actually, I think he started at 47, might have started at 40, but then he fought for a title at 54. But now at 68, he's still getting respect from these guys. Look, he's hurting these dudes. So to put the stamp on the punch, the little man syndrome, yeah, he's in full effect. And we saw when he switched stuff from the pads, he uses that big leather shield, the governor, that Eddie Reynoso is holding up with the two hands. And Canelo's like landing that sledgehammer that you mentioned, BDA, because he's working on that power, right? And landing that shot the way you need to with authority. So it's one of those things that, yeah, he's worked up to throwing like that. And once you build that much muscle, and Jimmy knows about it, it's like weightlifter. So you can't do things that you used to do when you were skinnier. There's jokes that you can't even wipe your own ass the way you used to, like when you were skinny, you can't touch your toes, like shit like that. You can't scrub your back. Or the same thing with the fat motherfucker. You become different. Your body changes. That's why Canelo doesn't throw the straight punches that, like, for example, he's been known to throw the one that knocked out Amir Khan. I think the last was up in Kovalev, but that was when he had the dude hurt and could really, like, throw it with ample time and space. But just to swing a fucking straight punch out of nowhere, he ain't doing that. Because of the way his muscles, his arms become like a little boat. It's muscular.
Yeah, exactly. Excellent points. And the guy in the chat with the 5,000 feet above sea level is big difference from sea level, Vegas. And he still threw above average. From what I can read so far, that's what I've been doing is checking out the averages at 168 over 12 rounds. And it's below 400 on average. So he threw above average punches too. And again, obviously the face of boxing, whatever that means to me, I don't think that really means anything about how he should perform. It's just, that's who he is. That's organic. It's not something you apply for. But just again, you go over his record. I mean, he's got two losses. I don't care what the judge say. He lost that first 11 fight, but 3 losses: Mayweather, Triple G, first one, and Bivol. But again, this dude is not taking soft touches. This kid Ryder comes forward. There's a reason Boo Boo didn't want nothing to do with him. It's a tough out. I don't give a fuck who he was. I think, I agree. He lost his. I think he got robbed against fucking the dudes blasting people out at 175 now. And again, he got put on his ass. And he said that, I've never been down before. And that wasn't no flash knockdown. He was cracked. You know what I mean? Like, flash knockdown, meaning, it was a flash stabilized-wise, but it wasn't like his feet were crossed over. I mean, that was just boom on the button. He went, his lights got put out for a split second, and he got up. But
Hey,
no,
Jimmy.
he can crack, man. Yes.
In the chat, Never Sober, thank you for your contribution. He says Canelo should have went to the body for the knockout. What do you think about
I
that?
agree. 100% right. Never Sober's right on the money. The body, but it's tough. You know what I mean? I think with the bigger dude, maybe because he's known the kid he can crack himself. Maybe Canelo didn't want to catch one on the chin. I'm really surprised he didn't dig that body more. Maybe it was the way, the angles. I don't know. I really wasn't paying attention. I was saying it to myself, but I need to watch it again to really, look at when the openings were there. Because I agree 100%. You know what I mean? The body, especially when you got a guy whose head, guy's head could go into a fucking grinder. It comes out the other side all jacked up, but he's still on his feet. So, yeah, taking his body shots would have helped. What's that?
You think he didn't really, Canelo preferred to stay on the outside to get space to get that right hand and that straight as well, because he knew John Ryder was going to get the best of him on the inside, because he was doing a sneaky thing, Ryder, he would spin him. He would place his right hand around Canelo's side and then just whack him with a little uppercuts. Do you think that's why Canelo said, you know what, fuck being on the inside, just going to get some range and try to get those right hands in?
I think that's where his right hand was landing the best from mid out. He saw that, and he saw that's why he was repeating a lot of the same punches, because they were effective, and he was trying to probably duplicate that knockdown, because that's part of it too. Like, I put him on his ass with that, I'm going to hit him again with it. And that in a combination where Ryder's not the guy you really want to be standing too much in this phone booth with. But a few times, though, I definitely saw an opening that he could have dropped that left to the liver. And I'll tell you, man, it doesn't take much. It doesn't take many of those to suddenly take the legs out from under you. And then, the old adage, it's an adage for a reason, chop the fucking leg, take the legs out, and the head will follow. So
I would explain, I would explain it. Hey, can I just say, go ahead, Gonzalo. Sorry.
And I was going to mention, and also because Ryder was a lefty, they were prone to step on each other. And it actually happened a few times. And I think like the second knockdown, a punch actually did land. But since I think Canelo or Ryder, they tripped up with the legs, but at some point Canelo was stepping on him, which could be a good thing too, because you could hold the dude in place to land your shots, but ultimately it could also lead to headbutts and all that stuff. That's why he said he was not trying to go for the kill on the inside too much. Yeah, but the dude's tough, man.
He did take
headbutts. Yeah. Oh, dude, pounding. And it's harder for an orthodox fighter to go to the body on a southpaw. It's easier for a southpaw to go to the body on an orthodox. I know it sounds weird, but it's true. You can on an orthodox fighter, right, with the left hand, you can go to the body better.
Hey, can I say something real quick before Butcher reads the super chat? Or you want me to read the super chat, Butcher, and then I'll read the super chat. Fuck.
Yes.
Shout out to Mike Jones for his contribution to the super chat. He says, Canelo was Canelo at 154 and 160. He should have stayed disciplined and we wouldn't be having this conversation. I mean, I don't know, man. I mean, he went for a third division, and Butcher, I think there is a certain amount of truth to that statement, though. Like Jimmy said, I think he doesn't want to cut weight, so he said, I'm just going to put on mass. And he's skilled enough to beat these taller, longer guys. So I don't think really there's that much of a problem. The problem is the stamina, though. I still contend that. And I want to address something that the Kegi said a while back. He said, you guys are missing the point. It's not so much about Canelo's output. It's the bad defense. But Butch already addressed that. He fought John Ryder this way because he didn't really respect the guy. It's like when Mayweather fought McGregor, same thing. He didn't respect McGregor, so he just fought uncharacteristically, hands up. He fought like Winky Wright in that fight. And it's a little bit of reminding me of the way Canelo fought against John Ryder. That's why he wasn't moving the head, because he didn't really need to. He was just blocking shots on the inside because they were short shots that weren't going to rattle him. Now you go back a year ago when he was fighting Bivol, who's now he's the technician du jour. He's fucking fleet-footed combinations up the ass, and he couldn't land as much as he wanted to on Canelo. Remember, there were large portions of that fight, and Gonzalo's mentioned this too before. There were parts where Canelo was on the ropes, and Bivol would try to catch him with a combo. He would shoot 7 shots. Maybe 2 would land, and a couple graze. But other than that, like even Bivol said, "Fuck, I can't really pin this guy down." So that defense, it's still there. It's just he didn't really need to pull it out of the bag yesterday.
Exactly. He's fighting in Mexico, Guadalajara. He wants to put on the show. He wants to take this guy out. That's what he was.
Yeah, especially in a smaller ring. If you question Canelo's defensive prowess, dude, something's crazy. Because I mean, he just didn't like lose all that know-how, all that ability. He just didn't use it. Remember when he fought Jacobs and Jacobs was throwing those sweeping hooks? Canelo was seeing those all day and just fucking one in particular. He was turning the head and rolling with the punch. You just don't forget how to do that, man.
Exactly. Well, it all changed in one night against John Ryder, apparently.
But I mean, it's. Listen, I do agree though that I'm not a reactionary and an alarmist. I'm not saying he's done. I mean, that's ridiculous. But his stamina has always been an issue, and it's like what Jimmy said. I think it's because of that mass. It's just way too much mass, and he's falling in. He sees that sledgehammer approach works, so he's thinking, why should I change things if I can get good results by doing the least amount of work possible? That's the way I'm gonna get it. I don't like it, but that's the way he's fighting now, and it's still working. But I tell you what, though, it ain't gonna work against Bivol, and it might not work against Benavides. But then again, and this is a question I asked last night to the callers: who's the biggest puncher Benavides has fought, though? Angulo and Anthony Durrell. And those guys don't put shots together like Canelo does. They don't have that accuracy, defense. So,
by the way,
and it's funny. It's funny when sorry, Bucho. Like real quick, it's funny when fighters like Benavides, and this goes for everybody, they step the level of their competition up. They for example, I mentioned Benavides threw less punches against Jacobs and against Caleb Plant. And Caleb Plant's not really a puncher. I know he knocked out Durrell, but really, in his whole body of work through his career, Caleb Plant doesn't have the knockout power like he showed against Durrell up to that point. But then when he fought Benavides all of a sudden, when he's facing Caleb Plant, he's not throwing as many punches as he did before. So it's funny, when you start facing better competition, you also start dialing it down. You're not being as busy because you don't want to get caught as well. And when you face a guy that hits harder than Plant moving forward, you're even going to change it up more to where you're going to be a little bit more cautious moving forward.
So I would say with his defense with Ryder, a lot of that was because he just kept his hands up. And the reason why his defense, I think, two reasons. One, the type of angle Ryder's punch come at you, very hooky. Nothing's coming straight down the barrel. So he chose the old, grabbing, putting his elbows up together and just pretty much and slipping punches. Ryder didn't catch too many clean on Canelo, right on the button shots. So that, and because he was looking to put somebody out, if you want to knock somebody out or looking to lay on heavy offense, you're going to have to eat punches. I mean, like boxing, it's hit, get, knock, get hit, but you get hit. And you better be prepared to get hit. And who knows, maybe he felt some guys are just more tough than they are powerful. I think Ryder falls in that category. I think he can take much more than he can give. You know what I'm saying? He catches better than he pitches, meaning he doesn't hit as hard as the punches he can take. It's usually a rarity, so you know what I'm saying? Because you know what I mean, right? So I think that I don't think he was sweating his power shots, especially after the sixth. I think a lot of those things were arm punches too, right, Gonzalo?
Jamie, it's like they call him the gorilla for a reason. You know, like a gorilla is like 7 times stronger than a human being, or 6 or 7 times, I don't know. And like John Ryder, they say for the weight of his body, he could actually pick up 2.5 times the weight of his body compared to an Olympian. So like pound for pound, the strongest people in the world, the Olympians that lift the weights, John Ryder can go head to head with those. Well, maybe not as good as they can, but damn near, which is stronger than your common man. So that's John Ryder, and that's why they call him the gorilla, because he's strong as fuck. And basically, Canelo's stronger than that dude, and now I get it why he do all the squats. Basically, when he fought Zach Parker, John Ryder, Zach Parker bitched out. Now, that dude's been on the warpath, but look, Canelo's better in that game. He fought him in his game, and he beat him. He dropped him. So that means Canelo's strong, too.
Hey, guys, after the fight, Canelo was interviewed by ESPN Spanish, and they asked him about his next fight. He said that he wants the Bivol rematch, And then they asked him, if you can't get that fight, what else are you looking for? And then he said there's a lot of people at 168. He mentioned David Benavides. He mentioned Charlo. And then they asked him about Morel. And he was like, who? Oh, we got to look at him or something like that. But yeah, that's basically it. So he actually mentioned Benavides. For those people who are saying like he's like completely afraid of Benavides or something, I don't think that's the case.
No. And Morel, the reason why I said who too, that was kind of a play on who you fought, dude. You only had 10 fights, meaning great that you'd be willing to go in there, but you have no fan base, bro. Like none. Even Ryder's got a lot of England in his side. You know, I mean, this kid Morel, the Cuban contention down in Florida, they got a good sized little Miami base. I like Cuban people, man. They love their boxes and stuff, but they're not enough of them to move the needle. So it's no disrespect to them. It's just, it is what it is. Excuse me. And so yeah, like he's got to earn his bones. I mean, this kid's gonna walk in a $10 million fight. He just hasn't earned it yet. Yeah, he looks good. He got power, but go BDA.
If they offer Benavides a fight, he would take it. But I think now the plan is to wait Canelo out. I think like Canelo's 33, 2 years, everything changes, and meanwhile he can build his profile over at the PBC. Even though I don't think it's going to do much good to beat the guys that like the likes of Charlo and Andrade and Morel. Although I think hardcore fans would enjoy the Morel fight, but shit, man, if the Plant fight only did 50,000 pay-per-view buys or 40 or whatever thousand it was, I can't imagine the Morel fight doing any better. That being said, like I said, the Benavides fight, it's out there for Canelo. I think it would be exciting. Faitelson, though, the guy from ESPN, he said, yeah, he's always after Canelo. He's got a hard on for the guy. And he said that Canelo looked awful. I think he said that he's a disgrace or something like that. And then Benavides' trainer retweeted that. So they still want Canelo, but now they're playing coy, like they're playing like the girl that's hard to get in high school. You know, it's like, oh, I'm not interested, but they really want Canelo. So it's weird, man. I still think they should pursue Canelo, the Benavides. I think they should do their best to get a contract.
Mr. BDA, there's a way to make that fight 100% guaranteed. You just go public with it. See, Canelo usually tries to stay silent. Go straight up. But what did we pay Plant? $10 million? Okay. What are you going to make for all those 3 next fights that the PBC has planned for you? Line them up. You're not even going to scratch the money you'd make in one fight against me. So I'm offering it now. Here's your chance. You fight me next, or you don't fight me at all. So you're waiting me out is just going to cost you a boatload of money, son. And so now it's in his lap. Like, what is Sam Burton going to play games? No, we're just going to wait later. Okay, you're going to try to A-side him out of it? The only thing you're doing is fucking cutting your own nose out to spite your face. Just like the old make him an offer he can't refuse. Yep, I'll give you $8 million. Let's do it. What is he going to get, $1 million if he's lucky to fight fucking Charlo? And then whatever the pay-per-view does, and we know that's not going to do anything. So, like, here's a chance to make life-changing money. And he's going to turn it down because of allegiance to Al Haymon. It'd be one of those situations Al would have to, or just show what we always knew. Al, like, I agree. I can't believe I'm saying this with Max Kellerman's when he was on with fucking the guy from ESPN, Timothy Bradley, when he said, listen, I mean, it's enough of a sample size. Al Haymon does not like matching his fighters in fights he may feel they may lose. Or if I don't even think he notices so much as whatever the fighters handlers are telling Al. I think that's the reason why they've been dragging the feet the whole time with the Spence fight. I mean, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, I agree. Now, I think Butcher's. I agree, Jimmy. That's an interesting. Yeah, man, put it on his court and put the pressure on him. I think Butcher's restarting the OBS thing. Butcher, did you need to restart it, or are we in the air?
Yeah, we're still in the air. Should I restart it? Because I don't know. It's turning red and yellow. You know what that means? It's
yeah.
Okay, so
I don't know, man. Yeah, that's.
But it's weird because I did restart it. All right, I'm gonna do a shutdown.
I feel like I'm on a shape. I feel like I'm on a shape like the Star Trek Enterprise, and it's getting ready to crash.
All right, guys, we're gonna just refresh, in like
this, and then boom, he comes up with a shot upstairs, and people go, "Holy shit!" I don't know where they're gonna come from now, because whether it's to the body being blocked or upstairs, they fucking hurt, they feel it. So I think there's a hope for Benavidez just based on activity and stamina alone. But he's gonna have to take some big shots. I think we're back, by the way. I think we are back.
Still fucking
Yes,
up.
yes, we're back. Was that Jim Butcher? Is it still red or?
Yeah. Red,
jeez,
yellow. Maybe we should end the show. I mean, we talked about the fight. Maybe we can have another show tomorrow, I guess.
Why does YouTube keep dropping? Are we
some people
dropping
say
off?
it's fine. Some people say it's fine. Others, okay. You know what? We'll just keep going. And if you guys have issues with this, it's gonna be uploaded on Spotify and iTunes and all of that. So over there, it's gonna be completely fine. But anyways,
Yeah, and I've been watching YouTube. I have it in the background, and it hasn't seemed to be dropping. It's just weird.
Every
we'll
once
go-
in a while
we'll keep going.
it will lag Butcher, but people don't seem to mind. So
all right, let's go. Let's continue going. People are saying, "Let's go." All right.
I think what you could do though, is just disconnect the internet, replug it, and then just start another show.
It's gonna take a long time. It might shut down the whole stream. Like, I'm gonna have to restart the YouTube stream. I don't want to fucking do that.
Not necessarily, maybe.
No, fuck it. Let's just finish this. Let's just finish this and then.
All right.
Raw dog it.
Yeah.
Feels like the start
Yeah.
spinner price, man. Like it's about to crash, dude. Hey, if he waits Benavidez out for 2 years, Benavidez is kind of in a pickle too. I mean, I know I use like a lot of analogies, but I don't know other way how to like explain it, dude. The dude was 250 pounds when he was 10 years old. 2 years from now, at light heavyweight, for example, if he moves up, he's gonna be less remarkable than he is at super middleweight. So at light heavyweight, I don't think Canelo would fight him in 175 because Canelo's better at 68. But 2 years from now, dude, I think, yeah, you get better with experience. But if you're having to like keep that weight and you're gonna be dehydrated, I think it benefits Canelo because he's more natural actually to 168 than Benavidez is. That dude's big.
Yep. And like I was saying when we were off the stream to BDA, heard me. I was saying, Zach's get in on Canelo because we've seen that he doesn't come in behind the jab. That's not usually his game. He didn't do it with Plant. I just don't. I don't see what his plan is. How he's going to, state his claim in the real estate without taking big shots. That'll be the question. Can he take his power? I don't know. I just know that he hasn't fought anybody with it, and it's not just punching power; it's the hand speed. He's never fought anybody. People think that Canelo's hands aren't fast. They're blistering fast because he doesn't wind up. He doesn't wind up. He pushes his punches. They're very, like Inoue. Sometimes they're just hard to see. He'll just be standing there. He's not dipping back and then shot putting that shit. He just comes straight from the shoulder, man. And he got enough on it to fucking let you know what time it is. So.
Hey, I remember
I
yesterday.
like that fight. If he's gonna fight him, I'd fight him right away.
He's winding up with the right hand. Yeah, go ahead.
No, just quick. I was gonna call out Red Reed that was on Discord yesterday during the fight. He was saying the fraud's getting exposed.
Yeah.
Just leaving it out.
He
Just
is
putting it out
winding
there.
up. He is winding up. He is winding up with the right hand. He's winding up with the right hand, but he's not like. He's not lunging in with the trail hand. He's winding up, but he's putting it together behind the jab. But the thing he'll do with that, he'll push you against the rope. He'll bully you. He'll bully you to the ropes. And once he pushes you back to the ropes, he'll pin you between the ropes, and that's where he drops the sledgehammer. So it's basically he's bounding forward. He takes 2 steps. He takes 2 steps. He cuts the distance. All the while he's pushing you with his body and trapping you against the corner, usually against the back of the ropes, where you got nowhere to go. Then he's dropping the hammer. But it's not just like he's lunging in and telegraphing it and giving it away real easy. No, he's putting it behind the jab.
And his wound up, like when he does kind of cock back to let it fly, I think those are his, like one he's trying to knock you out with. But I'm saying he hits hard enough without, you know what I'm saying? He just can shoot a right, shoot a left, right from where he's at in that position with his hands up. He'll just snap a shot off. And you don't think he's going to hit as hard as he hits. And I've heard enough people like Mario Lopez, there were 16-ounce mittens, but he spotted him, and he was like, "You just don't realize how hard he hits. You just don't." And Canelo kept apologizing. "Oh man, you all right?" He's like, "Jesus Christ!" He just, and Mario spot a lot of pros and a lot of dudes. He's just like, you don't expect for him to hit you as hard as he hits you.
Yeah. And I think like with the right hand, Jimmy, that when he bounced forward, he like leaps. He takes like 2 steps forward, like he hopscotches. Like to drop the sledgehammer. Like the thing about that, you don't know if it's going up or down because he's so short and he bends the knees, and sometimes he'll go to the liver. I mean, he'll go to the pit of the stomach or to the kidneys because this is a throw hand. Or he'll shoot it to the chest, but it could also go high. Whether he goes low or high, or he wants to go high, sometimes the opponent doesn't really know where it's going, and that's the reason it's hard to like read what he's doing, because you know what's coming when he's hopping forward and he's pushing you back. The right hand's coming, but it's very difficult to like know where it's gonna land.
Yep.
Guys, let's move on here. With regards to the Bivol rematch that Canelo, I would say, is kind of obsessed with. Is this a good idea?
No.
Why not?
Well, maybe not. But when it comes to rematches, okay, who has a rematch twice? That's GGG. The first fight, GGG beat him, but he got the draw. And the second fight, there was a major improvement there. And now that he's tasted his power, maybe he can adapt and say, well, I know what he brings to the table. I ain't scared of the power no more. Maybe I can step it up. I had surgery in my hand. And it's not like the other guy's younger. They're kind of aging along the same lines. I think Bivol is a few months older than Canelo. So they're around the same age. It's like Bivol's also getting older too.
Unless it's at 168. If it's at 175, absolutely not, because it's just, he needs that. I think, and again, it's, yes, if there's a fighter out there who can make the adapt to like what you said, I think the way Bivol beat him, I don't see what Canelo can do to combat that, because it wasn't a lack of his abilities, it was just lack of his size. Bivol's just, even though he's not a big light heavyweight, just from with his footwork, never going to get suckered into being in that, because Canelo will play possum, put his back against the ropes. He'll do things to get people's hubris up, to get him to come forward. But he's never going to fall for that. That's not Bivol's game. He's just not going to fall for it. He'll don't give a shit if he makes it boring. He's just going to piece you up from the outside.
But can
and I don't see how he's going to jump forward with a hook or something to catch him. I just don't know.
Exactly.
That's just my opinion.
Like Mike Tyson or something. And Canelo, with that low output, it's kind of impossible to beat a guy like Bivol.
I'll tell you what, Bucho. You know what? With that low output, look, he got 5 rounds out of 7, whether he really deserved them or not. They were close rounds, the ones that they gave to Canelo, but the ones that they gave to Bivol clearly won those. So in the end of the day, they gave 5 to Canelo, 7 to Bivol. Canelo was shooting a lot of his punches to the shoulder. Now, before when he fought Smith, it gave him a result. He broke arm Smith or bruised it up real bad. It hindered him. But against Bivol, a larger man, it didn't do anything. So as far as a game plan moving forward, you probably tell Canelo, if you're Eddie Reynoso, stop throwing to the chest or to the arm and go straight to the head when it comes to like landing. You might miss more, but every now and then you will connect instead of wasting your punches to the shoulder. Now, if they gave you 5 rounds, fuck around and land some to the head, you win more rounds.
All right. There's Gonzalo's take on how Canelo can win this fight. Others are not convinced at all. Like Jimmy, I completely agree with Jimmy as well in that there's just a size difference. I don't even think Canelo should even be at 168. And like BDA said, the only reason why Canelo manages to compete at 168 because he's talented. But at some point, the size just becomes that size disparities just become a handicap.
Bucho, let me just mention this real clearly. If Canelo, for example, threw 400 punches in the Bivol fight, but he wasted 200 to the arm and it didn't work, Well, now you tell Canelo throw those 200 where it's actually going to count. Now you might miss some, but then you're going to land some.
Right, that's true.
Because all that shit went to waste, man. The whole breaking your arm thing, like he did against Smith, it was for nothing.
Yeah.
So don't try that shit anymore, and use those punches where you're actually gonna land and score.
Yeah, don't try to break
not hurt the
Roberto Duran style or something. You know, you're gonna break that guy's arm or something. You're right.
Plus, you get tired. You get tired too, which was like hitting a 200-pound heavy bag, like the one Rocky Marciano used to do. It's like the dude's tightening up his body. You're shooting to the shoulder, which is like lean muscle. Try to find the soft spots, and it's not going to be hard impact against hard. You know, you might miss some. That also gets you tired, but then try to find the chin, land them to the pit of the stomach, the liver, whatnot, instead of the fucking hard-ass shoulder.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's not a good idea. You might hurt your hand too, right? Like you said, JAM84 says, I think Canelo can potentially beat Bivol. I believe in him. All right. Somebody believes in Canelo beating Bivol. Who else? Let's read some comments here. Pashda in the chat says Bivol needs to fight Beterbiev and Canelo, one of the Afro-Anglo bombs or Benavides. All right. Well, Bivol, I don't know which Americans are at light heavyweight. Sorry, yeah, light heavyweight right now. Listen, I want to see Bivol Benavides. I want to see Bivol Beterbiev, and I want to see Canelo fight Benavides. That's what I want. Let's see some other comments here from the chat. Kenshiro says, "How did Ike Ibeabuchi, who is the heavyweight boxer from How did Ike Ibeabuchi, who is the heavyweight boxer from 1,000 punches and 12 rounds?" I think he's saying that he threw 1,000 punches in 12 rounds. Is that true? I don't remember. Fans Unite.
Yeah, that's what they say.
Did he? I remember Ike Biabuchi, man. He knocked the fuck out of Chris Bird, John Ruiz. He could have become heavyweight champion probably. But for people who don't know, the guy was sentenced for, what did he do? Rape and attempted murder or something? I don't know what the fuck he did. But he went to jail for a long time, and yeah, that's it. We never heard from this guy again. Ike Ibeabuchi. Go check it out. Fans Unite says, most of Canelo's career is product of good matchmaking. I disagree with that. Yeah. All right, guys. So we talked about Bivol. Now let's talk about, we already talked about the Benavides potential fight. Now, if he can't fight those two guys, Bivol or Benavides, what the fuck's next?
Well, I got to ask the thing about I hear that a lot. He's a product of good matchmaking, and I'm seriously asking, I would like someone to explain.
He will lose Jimmy.
Class that he fought in that he didn't fight. Yes.
No, I lost you for
I'm just curious.
I lost you for a second. Go
What's
ahead.
That?
I lost you for 1 second.
Oh, I was going to say, okay, brother. I was just asking. I hear that a lot, not just from this gentleman. I hear people make that assertion that he's a product of good matchmaking. So I ask, okay, you tell me, go from division to division in which he fought in, and tell me the guys in each division that he avoided. Tell me the killers in each division that he avoided. I mean, you go down his career, Cotto, Mayweather, Mosley. Yeah, some guys might have been older, but where were the guys he avoided? That's all.
Well, like you said, Golovkin at 160 for a year or something. And I think that was Oscar De La Hoya who didn't want to put Canelo in there with Golovkin. What else? I don't know. You know what? Canelo is not really a doctor, in my opinion, for the most part, because I still even remember when he was supposed to fight Miguel Cotto, then Cotto lost against Austin Trout. And I think De La Hoya still wanted to make that Cotto-Canelo fight because he was going to sell, even though Cotto had lost to Trout. And Canelo said, no, I want Austin Trout. And then he wanted Mayweather. He got Mayweather. And then Canelo wanted Erislandy Lara, who everybody said, Canelo's going to avoid Erislandy Lara because he's a slick boxer, whatever. He took that fight. So it's only the Golovkin first fight where people could make an argument that he was avoiding him.
And that was, he made him wait. That was it. No, I say the same thing. In fact, I'd say he's a product of some bad matchmaking. I would have never allowed him to take that, but I would have talked him, at least tried to talk him out of a Bivol fight. And it's kind of funny to hear Oscar De La Hoya throwing jab. And I can understand why. Look at he's lost all his champions recently. Virgil's on the mend. Who knows if he's going to be back normal? But for him to throw jabs at Eddie Hearn constantly, I don't know why I would have made that Bivol fight. I never would have made that. No, but you put the 23-year-old in against Mayweather, but you wouldn't have made the Bivol fight. You know what I mean? So it's like, dude, shut up.
Exactly. And when it comes to rehydration clauses, I'm against all sort of rehydration clauses. And I even said that's what the fact that there was a rehydration clause in the Kovalev fight. I said that was probably one of the reasons why Canelo was able to stop Kovalev. Also, that Kovalev was on the decline. Apparently, he was an alcoholic. He had already been stopped prior to the Canelo stoppage against when he fought that the guy from Montreal, the Colombian Alvarez. Yeah. So yeah, Kovalev was on the decline, and the rehydration clause did not help. So I was against that.
That's why you picked him to win by knockout.
Who? Kovalev? No,
remember
Canelo.
You picked Canelo to win by knockout.
No. I didn't pick that.
I thought you did. I know me and Gonzalo did. We both even got the round, I think.
You guys did, right? I don't remember.
Yeah, I got the round. I know I got the 10th round. I think Gonzalo did, or he might have called the 9th. But then he picked the round 3 fights right in a row after that. He's been on a good streak with that. But yeah, no, there's a reason why I thought it would be kind of obvious that he was going to beat or stop Kovalev. I don't like the weight train, but it's so funny because the same people who just wouldn't shut up about it were perfectly fine with it with Garcia and Tank. You know what I mean?
Exactly. But yeah. So yeah, again, if Canelo doesn't get the Bivol fight or the Benavidez fight, I mean, Canelo did mention Charlo. I mean, that would be an interesting fight because of the fan base. You know what I mean? But that's pretty much it. I don't think Charlo has a chance. What do you guys think?
And to be honest, I don't know how much of a fan base he even has, bro. Because remember the Tank fight? Was it the Tank fight or might have been? I don't know. Oh no, the Benavidez Plant fight. They were going through the crowd and they were, star dropping on the screen. All the different fighters who were there and whatnot. And when it got to Charlo, he got like heavy boos, like the worst boos of all. Like most guys didn't even get boos. It was just it was a question of how loud the applause were on every fighter. He was the only one who got a good scattering of boos.
You know what
I mean? So I think he's lost a lot of his fan base, even on that side of the street.
Exactly. You know why? Maybe because he acts like he's the shit. And I'm talking about Jermal, right? Jermal acts like he's this king of a division, but he's not even the king of his division. Like he's not even fighting often, and so people see through that and they hate it. They hate when somebody acts like he's a superstar when he's really not.
And a lot of it, sadly, it's because he's picked against some PBC fighters and fights that look like him. So because of that, he's gotten labeled, the labels.
He's persona non grata.
You know what?
In the LDBC.
You know that.
Yeah.
What's in the name of the fucking guy? I forgot his name already. The Dominican, not middleweight. He beat Dervachenko. He beat Montiel.
El caballo.
Adames, yes, thank you, Carlos Adames, thank you, Gonzalo. He's been calling out Charlo, and he said, "Oh, Charlo's a coward." And I'm thinking, listen, yes, it's Charlo's fault and his management's fault and promoter's fault for not getting him enough fights this past 2 years. But to call a guy a coward when he hasn't fought in over 2 years, like, what the fuck? You really want to fight that guy? It's like, what do you gain fighting? You know what I mean? It's like, let him have a tune-up at least or something. There's other names in the middleweight division, so. I don't know what's going on over there with the PBC. Like, for example, we get the Saturday card next week. It's Rolly Romero against Barroso. Now, some people are going to say, yeah, but BDA, he was supposed to fight another dude. Yeah, he was supposed to fight a titleist at 140, despite never having beaten anybody of note there, or having even fought there, I think, in the last 3 years. So, again, that just goes to show you how bad boxing is. So now he's fighting Barroso, he looks like he's 50 years old, by the way, and he's past it. Then in the undercard, you get Gary Russell, the one at 140, taking on some unknown. So, and that's the only card they've got until a month from now, I think. So, yes, I know boxing isn't doing well across the board. like last night, for example, that fight shouldn't have been pay-per-view. But this whole thing with the Charlos, I'm telling you, if I were him, maybe I'd be having anxiety attacks or panic attacks. I'm thinking, how the fuck am I going to get a fight? Even the guys that are the big names for the PBC aren't getting fights. Spence they haven't announced shit for him either. And he's their second biggest name.
Are they freaking out? Do you guys think they're freaking out because they're not getting any fights? Crawford as well, or are they just sitting happy? Or because I see some pictures on Instagram and it's like they are not complaining, or maybe they're not allowed to complain. I don't know.
Well, exactly. They can't complain. You just hit it on the head, bro. The NDA, the non-disclosure agreement, they cannot say anything negative about the Al Haymon or PBC product, meaning other fighters. That we saw that when Chris Colbert talked shit about Wilder. Remember, they had to take that article down and everything because Wilder complained. Wilder says he did, and it was his people, but whatever. Yeah, so of course they're pissed off. Because right now we're not even halfway into the fucking year. And they've already had, 3 pay-per-views. So 75, it's 150 and 80. So $230 plus it costs $150 a year for Showtime, $15 a month, or even if you get it on the short end, 12, so 120 plus already. I mean, 230. So you're already $400 into Showtime. You know what I mean? And if all these fights, Spence, that has to be a pay-per-view. I mean, there's all these fights, these guys you mentioned, they're all going to be pay-per-views. I mean, they legitimately could quite possibly put on as many as 9 to 10 pay-per-views in a single year. And it would just be outrageous coming from an organization that was literally put together to get boxing off of cable and back on free TV, that now they're the pay-per-view champions of the world. It's nuts. Sports just kicking itself in the dick on a daily basis.
Are these boxers gonna sue PBC? Can they sue PBC for not getting fights at some point?
No, because in their contract, because in their contract, like with Top Rank, he was allotted X amount of fights in say a 3-year period, and if he didn't hit that mark, he has to pay the fighter. That's the standard boxing contract to get your guy. Like, listen, now I'll guarantee you 3 fights here. Within the PBC, how it's written up, I will do my best. It's literally almost worded like that. As long as we can, we'll say we did our best to get you fights. So there's there's no fucking X amount of fights these guys are entitled to, which is just crazy for someone who owns their ass lock, stock, and barrel for up to a decade, including their likeness. They can't even go and promote their own name on other outfits without written permission. It's literally a music contract, just where instead of music, he just kind of crosses it out and puts in boxing.
Why did Bubu Andrade join the PBC? In your opinion?
What other organization was going to sign him? He burnt through everybody else. Yeah, there's only a handful left. I don't even know is Lou Duva's daughter there. Is she is that even still active?
I don't even know. I haven't seen her
still around. I know, years. Like there's what's out there. He wasn't going to go back to the zone. I mean, we're talking about a guy, dude, who got a 3-fight deal with HBO, and they fired him after 2. They said, "Yeah, we don't need a third. We're going to give you what did we promise you?" I think they gave him a tenth of their what he would have made possibly on that 3rd fight, and cut bait with him. Said, "Yeah, I know your fights suck.
Jimmy,
you're not building any kind of fucking."
There's always people that they say, "Well, Jimmy has been talking about the PBC dying for years now. So because it hasn't happened yet, it's not going to happen." That's basically their logic. But I'd like to look at it this way. I like to look at it this way. Let's look at how the PBC looked in 2015 and how it looks now. You know what I mean? So there's a trend. You can see where it's going. We cannot give you a date. Jimmy cannot give you a date. On this date, the PBC is going to end. But we can see the trajectory, right? 2015, Jimmy, do you remember going on the PBC website and looking at the roster? 200 fighters they had. I remember 200 fighters.
Yep.
Millions
223, I think, was that at its height.
Jeez.
Yeah, 223 fighters, I believe, at its height. But back then, Bucho, he did. He was working with Spike, NBC, CBS, Fox, ESPN, Showtime. So he brought up all the available time slots So, because again, I would imagine most fighters were like, well, you got a big roster. What's you going to do for time slots? And he was able to fill most of them. Still, even then, they were shelved for most of the year. But he could get them slots. They're down to Showtime. That's it. Like all those networks that burned through. I just came across, somebody sent me a quote from the president of Spike TV. And he said the reason why they cut bait with him, he was like, as a network, when we promote a boxing match, we take our time and our programming money to push a fighter's story. Just basically, like they do those little stories. And we have an audience that gets, and then all of a sudden they would never be on the network again. They would go fight somewhere else. And there was no consistency. There was nothing. And it was just funny to read. Somebody just sent me that. It was from 2016, an article from Bill King from Sports Business Journal. And yeah, it was a good piece. I read it, but yeah, and that was one of the quotes. He was like, yeah, we would take time, do shoulder programming, and then we'd never see the fighter again. And he would tell us, I'll get it back to you. It was obvious what he was doing. He was just throwing fighters that had no geographical relevance to where they were fighting. He was building those stories because that wasn't his plan. His plan was to put everybody else out of business. He just wanted to smother the networks with PBC fights. So when I say this, it's still alive. Really, is it? You mean this husk on life support? That's solely dependent upon Showtime's budget? That's the PBC?
Are you saying that $500 million wasn't used efficiently, properly?
Not only wasn't used efficiently, that's the reason why they took him to court, because when they it was like a year into it, and they said, okay, what exactly have you done? Like, they were supposed to order all kinds of propaganda, paraphernalia. It was canceled almost immediately after they got the money. And it was within 18 months, they were down to, I think it was $80 million. So it wasn't even enough working capital to finish out that year. And he had working capital that was supposed to, in his plan, and what he said was going to be over a 5-year plan. And he had burned through it all, other than $80 million in 18 months. And they're like, on what? And he was saying how he spent $500,000 just for the rights for that song that he had made that I think they used twice. That guy, whatever his name is, I can't remember off the top of my head. But like, yes, like all these ridiculous things, like where did the money go? There was no oversight, because the guy who would have done the oversight, who negotiated the deal, literally gave his notice and went right to the PBC to work, which he's no longer there. He was just there long enough
Jimmy,
to
were they trying to make it
coffers, and then he bolted.
Were they trying to make it work, or was it from the beginning a Ponzi scheme type of thing?
I don't know I believe totally he was going to he was trying to take over boxing, meaning by that he was going to do away with all the sanctioned bodies. He was going to be PBC belts. He was going to make a UFC. He started back in 2005 calling, I can't remember his name off the top of my head. I can look at it. It's in another Bill King article. Talks about this phone call. This guy, an executive from Showtime, say he used to call him all the time in the middle of the night. I could take over boxing if I want. I could run that. Give me 1 year and an X amount of dollars. I could take it over. Just have to smother basically his plan. And then basically force other promoters to have to go through him. And instead of he wasn't going to put him out of business, like Top Rank Bob Arum would have been like Gary Shaw, would have been like Tom Brown. He was expecting to have all these little promoters under him, working under the PBC umbrella with PBC belts. And a big part of that plan, literally who sabotaged that almost right out of the gate, was Canelo. Because if he would have got Canelo along with all the other, because then he would have put Golden Boy out of business. Then he would have dealt with just, at the time, Kovalev. There was only one that main events, and then Top Rank. Matchroom wasn't the player that it is now. So yeah, no, that was his plan. He was he was going to have a subservient base of, promoters that work under the PBC umbrella.
So he thought he was going to take over boxing,
and when that didn't work, it failed.
He got arrogant. Is that what you're saying? He's like he challenged the boxing gods, and he got humbled. Like Homer Solid.
Yeah, he shot his wad. He made his move with other people's money. OPP used other people's money. Used a bunch of retirees' money. Didn't cost him a dime. He became even more wealthy off it. So win, lose, or draw, he still made his money. Now he's still in the advisor role, making 15%. But that was his initial plan. The money was spent to take over boxing. And even Al Bernstein, an employee of Showtime, I remember, I'll never forget when he tweeted back and forth that dude Haymonites. He said, Al, and he basically asked Al. He said, and he insulted Al, but Al was not Al. He insulted Al Haymon, but I remember Al was kind of like didn't want to get involved in that, but he said, no, absolutely, that was an attempt to take over boxing, and once he failed.
Yeah, finish your point. Finish your point.
I was just gonna ask.
Yeah, that was pretty much it. Yeah.
But also maybe a sign that they're dead, and I don't know. It's like I keep hearing, and I noticed that ESPN keeps signing like new fighters, and obviously I think Eddie Hearn as well. Like he just Regis Prograis just joined Matchroom, but PBC, who have they signed? I don't see them presenting. Hey, this is my new Boo Boo. Oh shit!
Yeah, but that's it. He's a superstar. He's a superstar.
What about prospect?
Nobody wants to fight him. He's so big and dangerous.
Hey, but can I say something?
Yes.
I've been meaning to say this, because people like Butcher brought up the great point is they want a specific date of when it's ending, but compare it to what it was. Shit, you don't even got to go back to 2015. Go back to 4 years ago when they had multiple dates at least on Showtime and Fox. They don't even have that now. Check this out. Next week, like I said, they got Rolly Romero versus Ismael Barroso. All the 3 fights on that card are subpar. Like I wouldn't, if I don't pay for Showtime anymore because they don't even show them on my TSN app anymore. But if I were, I'd be pretty mad indeed. So there's that one card in May. That's all they've got for May. Then next month in June, you got to go all the way to the 24th. That's near the end of the month for Carlos Adames versus Julian Williams. That's the main event. Okay, so that's one card in June, and that's near the end. And then the next card, you got to go they don't have anything in July. You got to go to August for Lara versus Danny Garcia. So that's one card per month, and those are the fights they're giving you. So are people still intent on saying that it's a thriving company? And that it's
BDA, somebody in the chat said that PBC is still going, so you're coping.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, these people are coping because I just named you the 3 fights.
Yeah, one fight a month. And they're not even amazing fights. And by the way, Rafael in the chat, thank you for your contribution. He says, Jimmy is right, and it backfired on Al Haymon. It did backfire.
Boxing is a difficult industry, man. Even the cutthroats from Hollywood have a hard time integrating into boxing. It's really difficult to get into boxing. These guys are shrewd, and Arum, Don King, even De La Hoya to a certain extent, the people he's got around him, Eddie Hearn. The market's already settled.
Yeah,
well, it still might be alive, but like it just reminds me of a story. Like when back in the day, in the late '80s, there was this chick from Barica High who got on to a Playboy centerfold because in her yearbook, she said, I want to be a Playmate centerfold. And believe it or not, that was like a big scandal back then. The school wouldn't allow it. So it got national news. Playboy, of course, the minute she graduated, put her in fucking Playboy. Anyways, fast forward 4 years later, I meet this dude. We're going to his house. And on the way to his house, like, and he brought her up. He goes, I married that chick. I'm like, no shit. I saw the spread in Playboy, right? I walk in the house. This bitch is like 5'3", and she's like a good 220. And like you can kind of see same face, and I'm like, okay, yeah, you married a Playboy playmate, but it ain't the same thing. You know what I mean? Just because it is doesn't mean it is. And so, yeah, the PBC is the shell of what it used to be. There's a reason. Look at, you asked this. There wasn't a time that it would be sacrilege that an American-born black fighter signed with anybody than Al Haymon. Now, none of them are. All the best young black fighters are Showtime. I'm going with fucking the Matchroom. You can just go down. The kid went to Golden Boy, Kid Austin, and then the slew of them right now, from Keyshawn Davis to Jared Anderson, who are Top Rank. Because it's not like they didn't see the contract offers, and they laughed at them. Plus, they've seen what has happened to the PBC roster. They see they get no fights, and then they talk to these guys. Yeah, I can't even sue them to get fights. So, like, yeah, no, I'm good. I'm all set. So, yeah, if you want to call this still alive, first off, I never gave a date. I just said this fucking organization will fail, and it is failing. And if anybody's saying it's succeeding with what they're doing now, God bless you.
What's happening with Deontay Wilder? Any news?
Looking to fight in, outside of getting arrested with handguns, not too much.
Oh, yeah.
He just got popped with a handgun.
so funny though
So-
that it's so funny when it came to Crawford and Spence. When Crawford was still with Bob Arum, some people blamed Bob Arum for that fight not happening, and now that Crawford is a free agent, basically, Al Haymon can even make
2
this fight
years.
happen. Al Haymon can even make the fight happen. They're terrible
Yeah.
at making fights, if you think about it.
Yeah, man. I mean,
And-
listen, the fact that they only have one card per month, and it's fights that nobody really gives a shit about. That's the thing we've been talking about before too. Is like, why do people like you? There's black people out there, Afro-Anglos actually. There's Afro-Anglos out there that still support the PBC just because Al Haymon runs it, and he's a fellow Afro-Anglo, he's a brother. But I mean, like I've said before, it's this. If you're a true boxing fan, this type of stuff with the PBC, it really did more harm than good because it's stalling fights. I mean, think about it. They have 200 guys on the roster, and they're not fighting. Again, Spence. Last time he fought was in April 2022. Wilder last fought in September, and there's no announcement yet about who he's going to fight. The only guy that they're really trying to push is Tank Davis is because they're putting him on pay-per-view, number one. The only successful pay-per-view he's had so far was against Ryan Garcia. We don't know how he's going to do if he fights Isaac Cruz again or Rolly Romero. Like I said, Spence hasn't fought. Wilder hasn't fought. Who else is there? Who's their biggest star that they can put? And that's the other problem is they don't have any dates.
No.
They got Showtime, and they're only giving them one date per month. So these guys, they gotta just release all these guys and let them go to the DAZN, let them go to ESPN because they're stagnating. I'd be pretty angry if I were.
And that would be great if all these fighters go to these other networks, because those networks, they have proven promotional companies, proven proven promotional companies like Golden Boy and Top Rank, even Eddie Hearn. The PBC has proven that even with $500 million, they can't do anything exceptional. You know what I mean? Give $500 million to Bob Arum, or even De La Hoya. Look at what De La Hoya did before his fighters got stolen from him. He was doing pretty good. 2013 was one of the best years in boxing. This is when Golden Boy was working with Showtime. 2013, go look at that. Great year, amazing fights. And then after that, what happened? When it was Showtime's turn, the PBC's turn to take over Showtime. Nothing special. We waited a long time for that Thurman Garcia fight. We waited a long time. Go ahead.
He was actually blackballed. It was an actual article. It was a known thing that he was not Showtime blackballed. They weren't to work with Oscar or allow any of Golden Boy's fighters onto Showtime. That was a decree passed by Al Haymon. He pulled the same shit at HBO. I mean, that network. Listen, I saw what he did to HBO. See, a lot of the Al Haymon fans didn't even know the motherfucker was involved at HBO. Never mind that he ran the boxing because of his position within the company. Actually, he started off as just a guy handling fighters, but because he handled so many of the fighters that he wormed his way into HBO and he started making the controls. And he started nope, we're not working with Showtime. And it became such a nasty situation over at Showtime that the executives couldn't wait to get rid of it. They hired that other clown who didn't really want to keep boxing in it. And it was just because of what happened with Al Haymon. That's why when he started the PBC, I said, listen, I've already seen what this dude does. He doesn't make fights. That's what this guy does. There's a reason when Bob Arum, who's been doing this shit since I was born, this motherfucker is a cancer to the sport. Again, there's a certain, like you said, certain group that called, it's because out of racism, or is it because the guy who makes his money in boxing knows this is the dude who is a cancer to the sport? And has he proven Bob wrong? No.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird. It's weird that we're even still talking about this in 2023. At the end of the day, if you're a boxing fan, you want some of these guys from this PBC roster to go out there and be active, because fighting once a year or not at all, like with Jamal Charlo, I mean, that's a shame right there. And if you're, like I said, if you're a true boxing fan, you should be caring about,
Answer me this. This is something I hear all the time. Why can't Canelo just go over to the PBC and fight Benavides?
Guaranteed money. There's no guaranteed money. Everything's basically when they offer him $50 million, what they're saying is, okay, we're going to offer you, this is how much money you can make us, and we're going to give you this much of it. You know what I mean? That's all they're doing. They're just offering his money back to him on the back end of pay-per-views with Plant. The same, you know what I mean? Whereas when he goes over to the zone, money's guaranteed. That's the reason why that shit was on pay-per-view, because they guaranteed him money for fucking Ryder. So, like, that's what kind of sucks, kind of pisses me off, but it is what it is. And but that's why, this is the reason why. Showtime, there's no budget. Listen, I can't stress it enough. I know Red likes to say, I mean, which kind of makes me question him as a boxing fan. Really? You like the PBC? That's the outfit you like and pull for? So you like pay-per-views and stagnated fighters' careers? Good for you, bro. You must really love the sport, but I don't understand. But, so, yeah, I just think it's a fucking joke. It's a joke. I think he hates the sport. He always has.
Yeah, the Al Haymon. Yeah, you mentioned that the thing with Haymon and his brother, the fact that boxing chewed up his brother and spit him out. Maybe that's why he's got a gripe against it. Can I bring up one of the fights from the undercard yesterday?
Sure.
Rey Martinez. He fought and he looked good. I mean, he's what he is. I like the fact, though, I give him credit for being able to fight on the inside. When the Panamanian dude was putting it on him, he had him on the ropes, and Martinez was actually doing a good job of countering on the inside with short little shots. So I don't know if it's enough to beat Sonny Edwards. Sonny Edwards is going to be fighting in a month, I think, on the zone or something. So that's the fight that they want to make. I'd be interested in seeing that, of course, because Bam Rodriguez is injured, so he's out for a while. But Rey Martinez, man, those body shots that he throws, he reminds me a lot of Fernando Montiel, and to a certain extent, Venado Lopez. They're both guys that don't jab. They don't really throw 1-2s. They lead with hooks, upstairs, downstairs, and then before you know it, oh shit, where's the hook coming from? Is it coming upstairs, downstairs? And boom, they catch you upstairs. I don't know what those people thought about El Rey Martinez.
Yeah, the Panamanian dude Batista, he was doing real good. I mean, that he showed to have boxing ability, and maybe I thought he was like winning. It was pretty even, but then Rey Martinez, I didn't think he had it in him. He turned it up, especially with them leaping left hooks. For a little man, he was like really popping out of your screen. Like, damn, dude, this guy's like Mighty Mouse.
Yeah, man, it's weird, eh? The fight he can. I mean, usually small guys like that don't usually punch, but now we're in the era where they can. I mean, Inoue, Chocolatito, when he was at 112 and all those weights, he was able to crack well too. Yeah, man, these people can punch. Bam Rodriguez can crack.
Yeah, I think what Rep It said that there was a video where he jumped out of his car and beat up like three dudes in Mexico City.
I wouldn't be surprised. The guy's got quick hands. Pop, 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 pop. I don't know if he beat Sonny Edwards though. Yeah, I mean,
the thing with Reynoso maybe training with him, I don't understand who were the guys in his corner, but apparently he went to Reynoso, but that wasn't him in the corner. There were some other like Panamanian dudes, like some Hispanic dudes with Rey Martinez. Yeah, but he did show poise. He showed some of the poise if he's training with Canelo in his camp and everything, because he kept it cool when maybe he was facing a better boxer and didn't get frustrated. And in the end, he pulled it out. I was thinking, is he tired or not? Yeah, but obviously tired. He was just waiting for the right moment, then he exploded.
But to the point that Reynoso wasn't in his corner, that's to be expected. We all know Canelo's there. That's the bread and butter, and that's their man. Plus, it's his best friend too. I'm sure he spent from the time Canelo woke up until walked him right into the ring. You know what I mean? There's no chance he wouldn't, go and be in some other. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get it. He was going to be with him, right? wrapping his hands actually, because that was the prelude. Yeah. I mean, the one before.
Talking to, right? And just talking to, you know what I mean? I'm sure, like, that's the person. I'm sure Canelo doesn't have a lot of people around him. Doesn't want negative energy. Probably relaxes. Probably gets a shih tzu done during the day. A good massage, naps in the afternoon. But I'm sure he knows what to say to him. Reads his moods. I know he's very close, and Canelo respects the shit out of him. So I'm sure he spent all day with him.
The fight I did. Yeah, the fight I didn't get a chance to watch though was Steve Sparks, the guy that made Montana Love quit against Goyans or whatever his name is, the Mexican. Did you guys watch that one or?
Yeah, that was a real good fight. That was a good fight too, BD. Jimmy.
Fuck,
Mucho.
missed it.
Yeah,
I
you
missed
should
that.
you get a chance to rewatch
I missed that.
man. I actually think that Stevie Sparks should have won it. But then again, I have to go watch the body work that Goyas put in because I mean, I think he dropped Sparks. He dropped Sparks and Sparks was kind of like he was bending over, like he was getting ready to go, like Goyas was putting it on him. But then like later, like around the 8th round, Sparks is the one that stepped it up, and Goyas wasn't looking too good. So he rallied back, man, and actually he did enough to take the fight back. But then they gave it to Goyas. I think he got a knockdown too. Goyas did.
Dennis from Boston is saying that he believed Spark was robbed. I heard some people were split on the decision that he should have gotten it. And then there's another fight in Russia. I didn't even know he was fighting Kubranov. Or I forget how you pronounce his name. He's the guy that beat Liam Smith a while back. He's undefeated. He's Russian. And he fought Michel Soro, who's always tough. He always gives people a tough fight. And apparently they say that Soro got robbed over there in Russia. So I got to try to see how I can find that fight. But that's another one. That's an interesting one because that's at junior middleweight or middleweight, I believe. I think it's junior middleweight. Yeah, I think it's junior middleweight.
People can go into that country during the war.
You know what? That's a good fucking point. I don't know where it was. Now that you mention it, I don't know where it took place. But yeah, it was junior middleweight because Magomed Kubranov, 24-0, and he fought Soro, who's not even ranked anymore in the top 10 by Ring TV. But Soro, he gave Castaño a very good fight a couple of years ago. He also gave Madrimov a weird fight. Those two fights ended very, anticlimactically. So it was difficult to figure out what was going on. And he also has a couple of good wins too. So, yeah, man, Kubranov apparently couldn't really pull it off. I see Buchu's back, by the way.
Yeah. Just listening. I don't know what you guys talking about. The undercard.
The undercard.
Yeah, all three fights are pretty solid. The ones in Guadalajara, and the one you're mentioning, BD, I didn't watch it. I just remember it. Did you watch the bow tie that the dude was wearing? The Canadian dude?
Yeah, what the fuck was that?
It was just the traditional, the traditional ranchero attire.
He looked like a matador. I was like, what the fuck's going on? It looked like one of those bows too that you put on a Christmas gift. It's very shiny, sequin. I think it looked weird. I think he should have taken it off, man.
The ring was small, and I mentioned it reminded me of the ring size, the same ring size that was in the Klitschko versus Corey Sanders fight. Remember?
Yeah.
That ring was
small.
Right, it backfired on Vladimir Klitschko, but yeah, that ring was small. Overall, the event was great. I think the crowd was into it. The Canelo's entrance was, I mean, it was long as hell, but he wasn't annoying.
You know what I liked about that?
Yeah.
I missed that. A lot of people talked about that on Twitter. People talking about the ring walk. They said it was pretty epic, was it? I missed it.
Yeah, it was pretty epic. I don't really like entrances, though. I mean, I'm not there to watch a fucking circus, a fucking event. You know what I mean? Like, I want to see a fight, but yeah. You know, the best entrance was Mike Tyson just going in there.
Yeah, I know Tyson, right, with the towel.
Towel, yeah, that's it.
And the chains, like the WWE.
The chains in the background, like dragging on the floor. The sound of that. Remember? The chains.
He had chains.
Yeah, you hear like chains like dragging on the ground. It's just like the sound effect.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah.
I like the fight. I understand people like the. I understand people. I understand that people like the entrances because it makes it epic. But at the same time, I just want to see the fight, and I hate when I understand the entrance, fine, but when they start talking, the commentators blah blah blahing, Like ESPN is the worst. Get to the fucking fight, especially when they hold it at 1 a.m, the main event, and I'm here on the East Coast, fucking waiting for them to get the fight, and then the fight sucks. That's the worst. So just make everything quickly, man. That's UFC. They do that. The UFC, okay, maybe they'll make the main event ring walk a little longer to really hype it up. But eventually, it's like, hey, let's keep it moving. These guys, oh, man, they love their editing software, maybe, and they want to put these packages that they do, this montages, melange. They just fucking get to the fight.
It gives them more time to show their sponsors, right? So they don't want they don't want the event to end. So they just drag it. But fuck, they're not showing any love for us people on the East Coast. And I'm getting old. I'm fucking tired after fucking 10 p.m. You know what I mean? I can't. I can't. Before, when I was younger, I still remember. Man. Actually, we were doing live streams when I was at the bar and stuff like that. I don't even go to bars anymore, especially after COVID. But yeah, no, I get tired after that. I can't wait fucking for midnight to watch a fucking fight. Come on.
It's not
Yes, as far as ring walks. Well, I was going to say, as far as ring walks are concerned, that's because boxing was never a sport for TV viewing since the days of time immemorial. And it was always a very expensive live event. I mean, this tickets around the bowl are crazy money. People pay a lot of money. It's a spectacle thing. Yeah, there was a fight. But the ring walk has always been... So before I used to get just like, fuck the ring walk. But, then I got into it because I realized once you start paying money and people show up there. Like, remember even Triple G's, it wasn't exorbitant, but that music, the lights would go down, and it was boom, 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 boom. It was just like, you hear that music, everybody would start getting all pumped up and shit. So I appreciate it now as I got older. But yeah, there was a time I didn't like it. And I don't mind the ring walk as long as it's not fucking takes 20 minutes. And the only one I really didn't like, I mean, that one with that fucking weirdo and the Tyson Fury. Remember the guy with the fucking fingernails and the fucking weird dancing? Holy shit. That was creepy.
That was gay. I don't mean gay as in lame. I mean gay as in homosexual.
Hey, speaking about getting old, you mentioned it yesterday, BDA. It's kind of fit into like the narratives that Canelo is on the way out. Did you see his hairline, or like you could see through his hair? Like, he's balding, dude. And now I don't feel so bad, dude, because I was like, dude, I'm fucking balding too or something. It's like, yo, Canelo's balding at school.
Yeah, people were saying that he looked bald in there. Listen, his brothers are bald, so it's gonna be his father too. I think is bald, so they got
it's like a family thing. Yeah. Because he's a bunch of people.
It's genetics. So.
Some people are saying PEDs. PEDs, I don't know.
Oh, maybe.
I don't know how that works.
Maybe.
Jimmy would know. Jimmy, what about the PEDs and the balding? How does that work? Oh, Jimmy went to the bathroom.
Yeah, he's thinning out, man. All of a sudden, he's not gonna be the redhead no more. He's just gonna be bald, dude.
Hey, in the chat, there's this guy that's keep talking about Tank Davis being a superstar, and he did 1.4 million pay-per-view buys, and I don't know. I think he fought Ryan Garcia, right? Because he's like people are acting like he did 1.4 million pay-per-view buys fighting Rolly Romero or something. Like, come on.
Listen, this whole Tank Davis thing has made some people go crazy. You mentioned the rehydration clause, they go nuts. You mentioned the fact that he's not a pay-per-view star, they go nuts. I don't know, man. I don't think it's a healthy way to spend life obsessing over Tank Davis. But listen, it is what it is. I wanted to say something though about events. Liam Smith versus Chris Eubank. There's a rematch happening, and they already had the press conference.
Yes.
I think that's gonna do better business than the first one, because going into the fight, a lot of hardcore fans gave Liam Smith a chance to win, but I don't think many expected him to knock Eubank out, or stop him rather. So I think it's gonna do good business. But what do you guys think about Chris Eubank sort of like pretending that the first fight wasn't a big deal? Because he goes,
illegal shots. He was talking about illegal shots, basically. I mean, making excuses.
Oh. Well, I mean, if it was illegal, it was illegal, and it's not an excuse. But I didn't see. I mean, he hit him with a 1-2 and then a left hook and dropped him.
An elbow or something, he claims. I don't remember exactly.
Oh yeah. Well, nah, there was no elbow. The elbow didn't. He was already hurt by the right.
Doing pretty good though before the stoppage. Before he got stopped, so It's an interesting fight. Yeah, of course, more interesting than the first fight because a lot of people didn't give Liam Smith a chance.
But what do you guys think about that the rematch?
And I think that dude turned soft. How old is he? Because like before, supposedly he had an engine and he had like a few good fights, a couple good fights. But like really, he's like in the same boat as Julio Cesar Chavez, even worse. Because his dad was famous, so what? He gets like extra credit. I mean, he was kind of quick or whatever, but he was also training with Roy Jones, a fighter that was also limited that relied on speed and athleticism, which has really nothing to do with him. But I'm just saying, I think the dude was a hype job. As far as the rematch, hey man, Liam Smith and his brother, they're on the warpath too. Like they keep winning because they're dedicated.
Exactly.
They must like boxing or something.
But Gonzalo, I think Chris Eubank Jr. actually puts in the work. Obviously, he's not as talented as his father, but I haven't seen anything that makes me believe that he's not putting in the work. When it comes to Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., this guy was training in his living room. Remember that? And he didn't want to go to the gym. He would tell Freddie Roach to come over to his house to train. So, different stories, in my opinion. One guy didn't want to fucking train.
I think with Eubank, he's just one of those guys that sticks to the drills, like the combinations in, like the by the numbers. You know what I mean? Like the 6 and like the 1s and the 2s and all that. So it's just pretty like it's like a routine, and you don't know anything like how to fight.
Flashiness.
How to be spontaneous. How to put it together. On the go. It's just like, okay, it's all rehearsed.
Right.
It's all rehearsed in my opinion.
Yeah, when it doesn't work, you don't have anything else to rely on, right? So like he probably looks great.
Yeah, a little bit like
Garcia. Yeah.
You know what? It's interesting about the Eubank thing because he has power. He's got a good inside game. He's got beautiful uppercuts. But now with the Roy Jones thing, he's like, oh, again, we go back to the same thing of fighters trying to get the same results by doing less. And him running around and doing the rooster moves like Roy Jones, that's what actually cost him against Liam Smith. He was up against the ropes, and he wasn't getting low. He wasn't changing levels. He was just standing there, chin up in the air.
Relaxed.
Without fucking Roy Jones' reflexes. Yeah, he got his ass knocked out.
Hey, it's funny how that's how Roy Jones got knocked. Well, he was on the ropes too. He got knocked out against Antonio Tarver.
Yeah, and against Glenn Johnson, he just took a right hand. He didn't even roll with the right. He just moved to the side, but it was too. He did it too early, so he got caught on the tempo. And then when he got dropped like a sack of potatoes. And that's really like he was out when he was going down, but it's the fucking impact against the canvas that's a really exacerbated the whole. And remember when he got up from the Glenn Johnson knockout, he was blinking. He kept blinking like he had a cow whips or something. It was disturbing.
After the knockout.
Yeah, once he got up and woke up and they put him on the stool and he was blinking like he couldn't get rid of something in his eyes.
Yeah, that was sad, man. Like the Tarver knockout, I was like, okay, I was shocked. I thought it was a lucky shot or something like that. When he gets stopped by Glenn Johnson, I was like, it was sad. Even Larry King. What am I fucking saying? Larry Merchant. Larry Merchant was like the death of a king, he said. Something like that. And it was true. But anyways.
That dude, the Road Warrior, he was he was kind of good. I mean, like he had a good overhand right, I believe. If it wasn't the left, it was the right, but it was an overhand punch, and he had like 13 losses. But I guess they called him the Road Warrior.
Oh yeah, he was a gatekeeper.
Johnson.
Yeah,
it's
he was old too.
Roy Jones actually does have a good boxing mind, like to what Gonzalo is saying. It's true because I remember when he was doing the HBO commentary, he would say like, "Oh, this guy's got to watch out for the left hook, or he's got to watch out for this punch," and then 2 rounds later, boom, the guy would drop the dude with the same punch he was talking about. So he did, like when people say, "Oh, he was all talent," I disagree. He was a smart guy because he put that together with the talent he had, and that's why he was near invincible. But it's true though that the technique is the thing that was lacking. He couldn't fight going forward. I remember when he fought Tarver the 3rd time, and he said, "Well, if you want to beat a guy like Tarver, you got to fight like Glenn Johnson, and I'm not that type of guy." And I'm thinking, but wait a minute, you beat him the first time. He did beat Tarver the first time, and he didn't do it by walking him down.
I think he was beating him the 3rd time as well. And then he stopped.
Well, in the fifth. Yeah.
Then he slowed down. And then the guy even said he was afraid of getting hit because he was afraid of ending up like what's his name again? Shit, escaped.
McClellan. Gerald McClellan.
Gerald McClellan. He was afraid of ending up like that. So, well, anyways, we're talking too much about Roy Jones. But now, if we're talking about son and father, when it comes to boxers like Eubank, what about Tim Tszyu? Is he the real deal?
Well, he convinced a lot of people by stopping Tony Harrison. That was an interesting performance right there. Jermell Charlo is a difficult fighter to beat because he's got that power. So you can win the rounds, you can lead the fight, but then boom, he catches guys with something, and it's game over. And Tim Tszyu does have that open guard. He's not difficult to find. So it would be interesting, but yeah, man, more people are giving him a chance. Charlo getting injured was the best thing that could have happened to him because it gave him a chance to work his craft against Harrison and show that he does have skills. He's not just a come forward guy. He does it with technique and defense.
I noticed that a lot of people say, okay, well, Tim Tszyu, he gets hit a lot. But I think like his style, when they say, oh, a fighter's like he's closing the distance, he's getting close to landing that punch. Well, when you're closing the distance, I think it's like not all the time it's going to be easy, but once you start closing the distance little by little, like start inching forward, then you're finally able to land that punch. That's what a lot of the times that Tim Tszyu, for example, he's doing. He's getting closer and closer, and once he establishes that distance, he's not missing at all. He's landing everything he's throwing. So on that process to establishing that distance, while he's closing it, he's getting hit. But he's unafraid. He's not afraid, and he stands upright. He stands upright, and at the same time, well, he's kind of like stationary. Well, yeah, but because he's trying to throw straights. He's trying to line you up with the straight punches. That's why the Europeans fight a lot like that. They get on the straight line because the straight punch is coming down the line too, and they're measuring you. So in that process, when he's measuring you, he's getting caught. But most of the times, he's not missing when he gains the distance. So he's pretty good, man. He's a tough dude. If you can take it, I mean, more power to him. The thing with Charlo, he's gonna get on the back foot like he did against El Boxy Castaño.
Right. Hey, but Gonzalo and the rest of the guys, this division, 154, it's an interesting division because you got El Mono Ramos, who's quickly becoming one of my favorite fighters to watch. You got Madrimov, who just fought a couple of weeks ago, I think. He's still undefeated. He's pretty good. You still have Erickson Lubin. He's going to be fighting next month. You got Mendoza now, who stopped Fundora. You got Liam Smith. You got Kubranov, the guy I mentioned who fought yesterday, although some people claim that he should have lost the fight. You got Tim Tszyu. You got Charlie. It's a pretty good division. Like there's obviously even the number one guy, the champ, Charlo, he's still beatable. I mean, he should have lost the first fight against Castaño. He lost to Tony Harrison. Mm-hmm. So there's, it's not like he's invincible. So there's always entertaining fights there because anybody can lose at any moment. It's a fun division. It's not, there's no real pound for pounder. Although I guess some people have Charlo top 10. I think I would put him in top 10. But yeah, what do you guys think about the 154?
Hey, Lara is fighting Danny Garcia, right?
Yes.
Okay, what has Lara done lately?
By the way, Butcher, just real quick, that's Danny Garcia. That's for Lara's middleweight title. So Garcia is fighting at middleweight. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, what? Okay, Lara has the belt at 160.
Apparently, man. Yeah.
What is going on here, man? Okay, wait. I thought. What?
They brought him from back. They brought him from the dead. No, they just gave him a title or something.
Yeah.
So what's the point? So Garcia's gonna be campaigning at 160, or this is a one-off type of thing? One fight at 160, and then he's going back down, or what?
I don't know.
Wait, somebody's okay. No. Now somebody's saying I am your leader. Says it's gonna be on pay-per-view.
No.
He's joking. I think.
Okay.
No,
you know what? I almost believed it because you never know, man.
I mean, at 160, can he get any slower? I mean, he's probably looking at Canelo. If Canelo can, I'm gonna bulk up like him. I'm also short. I could hit hard.
God,
That's
could he be any more irrelevant?
This is pathetic.
well, I
man.
mean,
Danny
he didn't do
Garcia and
anything at
Lara.
47. He didn't do anything at 47, and he said he was going to campaign at 54, but now he's fighting at 60. So if he wasn't getting knockouts at 47, do you think he's going to get him? I know he can crack because people mention it all the time. But I don't know, man. But Lara too, he's an old man. So I mean, this is just
How
like
old
one of
is
those fights
Lara?
that they make. He's probably like
40.
39 or
40,
40.
39, 40.
Hey, listen, let me tell you what's going on in the middleweight division. And this is why I don't follow the alphabet straps. That's why when I call a guy lineal, the only reason why I call a guy lineal and not undisputed is because undisputed now is tied to that term is used now for belts, and I don't want to have anything to do with belts. But lineal is just means undisputed. It means there's no dispute. So I think people have to relax when I say that. Number two, here's why the titles suck. The WBO is Alik Manuli. Okay, that's the WBO middleweight champ. A guy with he's 13-0. The IBF is vacant. The WBC, you get two champions. You got Jermall Charlo, who hasn't fought in over 2 years. And then you get Adames, who's the interim champ. He should really be the real champ. They should give him that title. And then you got Lara, who's the WBA. And eventually there's going to be a super WBA champ. Eventually the IBF, they can have two champs as well. Same thing with the WBO. They got their interim champ.
How did Lara become a champion?
He beat, I think
Vacant belt.
Against who? Or whom?
Oh, no, you talking about Lara at 160?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Didn't he get fucking Triple G's belt when he relinquished it?
Yeah, it says here that he got the title when he, oh my goodness, he got it against Canelo's brother.
I was going to mention Ramon, yeah.
Well, I heard this Garcia fight. It might be a paper because it's supposed to be kind of a spectacle. It's a 10th anniversary fight. I guess it's a big 10th anniversary of Garcia's last significant win.
Oh yeah, Matisse. Lucas
Matisse.
Imagine they say that. Imagine they say, this is a fight to celebrate.
Before he enters the ring, they show on the screens, like in the arena, they show a fight, like highlights and stuff like that. And they show that Matisse fight.
Oh man, I wouldn't put it past them to do that, man. The WBC, they want to get in the act and they do a special belt.
Would you call
belt.
Danny Garcia a glorified contender? Yeah, he was a champion, but in my opinion, he didn't dominate. He never dominated 147. That's a fact, right? He was one of these champions that existed in the division, but he never dominated the division, and he lost all the major fights at 147.
Yeah, he was a gatekeeper. I mean, go down the line. His next fight, he lost Maurice Herrera in Puerto Rico, his homecoming, even though he couldn't speak any Puerto Rican, any Spanish, which the Puerto Rican people, which to their credit, didn't appreciate that. Mm-hmm. It's like, wait a minute. Yeah, I was like, wait a minute. Hold on. Yeah, it's a homecoming fight, dude. You can't even speak to our reporters. You have to have
It's coming home. Remember they play Jimmy, they play that song, It's Coming Home. Oh, yeah. Like, what? He's from Philadelphia.
It was cringe.
Ah, man. Hey, you know what, though? The cringe thing is, Lara's going to beat him, I think. Because fucking Danny Garcia doesn't put the pedal to the metal. He's a counterpuncher.
Would that be embarrassing, though?
I mean, Garcia, do you think Garcia's embarrassed? The guy was fucking bawling after the Benavides fight. Him and his father were bawling.
I got mental illness. Yeah,
I mean,
listen, another one was recently come out. Is soft in the attic.
Soft in the attic. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. And the funny thing is, though, Lara, he's still around. He hasn't had a significant win either in years. And I used to dislike Jared Hurd. When Jared Hurd beat him, I was sort of rooting for Lara a little bit because Jared Hurd was just a weight bully. But now in retrospect, I like to rewatch that fight because Lara was a prick too. I remember when he fought Canelo and he's like, I'm going to break his face. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that.
Oh, yeah.
And then you see him running. He's like, God,
running.
Man, classic. Yeah, you're gonna break his face by running. Is that what you're gonna do? So he's a prick
I
too.
mean, he's only fought once. He's only fought once in 3 years.
Who? Danny?
Oh, he's
Danny
fucking
Garcia?
part-time. Yeah, right. As last he fought Jose Benavidez Jr. in August of 22, and the time before that was 2020 against Spence.
I think Jimmy's right because
Holy shit.
let's run it back. He beat. I think the last win he was against Red Catch. I think. Actually, let me check the
Well, it
record.
was Jose Benavidez Jr.
No, it was Benavidez Jr.
No, I know.
Yeah,
but
Benavidez
before
Jr.
that-
Yeah, that's his name, right?
Okay.
Before
Yeah,
that, it was
that's
Ivan
what-
Redcatch. He lost to Spence.
Yeah,
then
that was-
he beat Redcat or whatever his name is.
Yeah, look at this. He fought Red Catch pre-pandemic. That was in January of 2020. Then he went all the way to December when he took on Spence. 2021, he was off for the whole year. It took another 7 months to fight in 2022. That was in July against Benavidez, and he hasn't fought at all this year. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so he hasn't. He's had 1, 2, 3, 4 fights in the last 2 years. I mean, that's
What?
insane, man.
Well, no, because 2020 he fought Spence at the end of 2020, so he only had one
Okay,
fight.
you're right. You're
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
Yeah, you're right. Right. And you know what? Even before that, I'm looking at his record. He beat Granados. That was a good performance. That was one fight in 2019. He just fought once in 2019, twice in
Once.
2018, only once in 2017. So he's how the fuck is this guy getting a shot? I know it's an alphabet strap, nobody gives a shit, but how the fuck? In theory, this just adds more fuel to the fire that I have against the alphabet straps of. Why is this fucker who's never fought at 160
And there's
hasn't
some
had a
fighters
significant win?
that, and there's some fighters that fight consistently. They never get a title shot, or they have to struggle to make it in boxing. And this guy, they roll out the red carpet for this guy, basically.
Exactly. It's embarrassing.
Who's not even a big
Like Joe-
name. He's not even a big name. Nobody cares about him fighting Lara, to be honest. Nobody.
Hey, you know what, Butcher? You bring up a good point. That fight's going to be taking place in New York, Brooklyn, New York.
Oh,
So it's
great.
going to be the stop hub, probably. I mean, I think even with Danny Garcia being, because he's from Philadelphia, maybe they usually do good business in New York. I think they're going to be giving tickets away, man. If
Oh,
you're in New
fuck
York
yeah.
around that time, August the 5th, wait until the last minute, man, and get yourself some tickets at the last half price, man.
You'll get a
think
fight also in the crowd. So it's
You'll
worth
get
it.
a knife fight. Yeah, you'll you'll get a
knife
knife fight in the crowd, man.
All right.
But hey, listen.
Hey, you guys think Lara can punch?
Yeah, that's the worst thing about it, Gonzalo. He can crack, but he doesn't really like to do it. He likes to run around and one shot at a time.
How is he fighting now, though? Is he more stationary, or is he still moving around?
Yeah, he's like 62.
Well, exactly. So that's why maybe he changed his style. Because I do remember though against Jared Hurd, we didn't really see that old school Lara. He wasn't really moving that much. By the way, Michael Poe, thank you for your contribution. He says Canelo isn't declining. It's a great excuse. He's fought nobody since Triple G, the second fight, the rematch. It's a great excuse. All right.
I mean, Callum Smith, Billy Joe. I like how Kevin from Chicago calls him Billy Bob. He calls him Billy Bob. He's like, hey, Billy Bob. He couldn't do that.
Billy Bob, man.
It's a fucking hillbilly name. But yeah, shout out to Michael Poe for his contribution. Hey, Bray in the chat asks a good question. He says, will you be doing a film analysis episode for Haney versus Loma? Yes, we will. It's probably going to be this week because there's not going to be that much to talk about. So I'm going to take the opportunity to do one. So it's a good time to remind, Gonzalo already sent me the clips, but Bucho and Jimmy, send me those clips. If you have timestamps for clips that you want to talk about from Loma and Haney, send them to me before Tuesday or Wednesday, and that way we can, you guys can mention.
That fight is on the 20th or 27th of May?
On the 20th, I believe, yeah.
I think it's on the 22nd.
It's a 20th.
No, that's
The
Monday.
20th.
20. Okay. Oh shit, it's coming up.
It's coming up. It's gonna be an interesting one, man. That's for sure. It's too bad it's pay-per-view.
I'm just
again. Yeah.
Well, one thing with Lomachenko, I mean, I know he's been training. Maybe like we don't hear too much about it, but in silence, you know, the dude's putting the work in. He can't leave it on the table. Whether he's small, getting older, he can't just like go rounds without doing anything, and then like later when they give it to the other guy, then we're gonna say, well, he lost, like whatever. No, he needs to like go out there, and if the other guy can't punch, obviously he's quick and he can crack some, obviously. But yeah, don't leave anything on the table, man.
It's probably his last hurrah at 35. He's 34 or soon to be 35, I think. And you're right, man. It's he's got to give it his all. He can't just stay there and.
He's from that class of 2015, right? That Thurman, Sean Porter, Danny Garcia, Spence. Who else am I missing?
You're right.
That class.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
They're getting old.
But I know what you're saying. Yeah, that when those guys were in their prime, that was prime him. You could even throw Canelo in if you went.
Yeah, Canelo. Yeah, exactly. Sean Porter retired. Well, Charlo as well, huh? The Charlos. So they're dropping off already. Yeah. Some of them are dropping out basically.
Keith Thurman.
Yeah.
Brigandao.
Yeah, he's already 35, by the way. He is 35. So, like Gonzalo's made a good point, man. It's 35. It's do or die, man. If he loses this one, he doesn't. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, he can't take many rounds off like he did against Teofimo Lopez. But yeah, Teofimo Lopez is dangerous too, like because he's young and he hits hard, and then you don't just want to jump in there and exchange with a guy like Lopez. Obviously, Haney's a different fighter. But I also saw that Haney kept Linares off. But yeah, Linares is chinny. You see, there's all these different, like, when it comes to styles between two fighters, it's like really different. It's really hard to tell. I mean, how this guy's going to do against that guy. But with Linares didn't want to jump in there like with Haney. And if they were trading, like Haney's speed was keeping Linares from doing much. Like, you know, he couldn't like really pull the trigger either because he's older as well. And like I said, with Teofimo, but with Loma, dude, he can't take 5 rounds off like he did against Teofimo, man. He can't do that. I forget how the fight played out with Jermaine Ortiz, but maybe he took like 3 rounds off at the beginning to, like, you know how they say, download the matrix.
Not really, though, Gonzalo. Not really. I mean, we're gonna watch the clip, but he didn't really start slow against Jermaine Ortiz. I thought he won those first 3 rounds. Against Teofimo Lopez, he threw less than 10 shots in the first 5 rounds. His fucking shoulder was fucked. It's like people keep saying, oh, he started slow against Lopez because he was afraid of the punching power. You saw that once he started walking him down, there wasn't ever a point where I saw Lomachenko hurt. I think maybe he felt a couple of body shots, but he was walking the bigger puncher down. So my thing about the Haney fight is, I think Haney has a good shot. Don't get me wrong. It's never one or the other. Like, oh, this guy's going to win and the other guy has no shot. But Lopez couldn't keep Lomachenko off him. He's a bigger puncher. Haney's a better boxer than Teofimo Lopez, but how much better of a boxer is he that he's going to be able to control Lomachenko? All these questions are going to only be answered once they're in the ring. I don't know the answers. That's why
I know the answers. No, I don't. All right. We're going to have to end the show. It's been almost 2 hours now.
Yeah, come on. What the fuck?
I know, Jamie. I know. What will when the second Renaissance, Mr. B, do you have anything planned?
Probably maybe tomorrow. Yeah, because today I still got to work on. I'm working on the Inoue Fulton thing. That's gonna take place in 2 months. So I'm working on that right now. But I got to put some news together for second Renaissance, and maybe I'm gonna try to do that episode about the occult beliefs that certain people have. You know, upper management, if you know what I'm talking about. And how they show some weird, they always like to talk about, this is bullshit, Christianity, this, Christianity, that. And then you see them throwing weird symbols around, talking about numerology. It's like, who's really believing weird things here? That's what I'm talking about. So maybe I'm working on that there. Check out Second Renaissance, and we're going to keep doing, check out the on Rumble. We did a video precisely about the things I'm talking about right now, about occult beliefs. And it's doing decent numbers for a channel that has less than 200 followers. So go check it out. I'm going to put it in the chat, the link.
Yes.
Yeah. And So yeah, man. So second Renaissance probably tomorrow.
All right. Well, guys, if you enjoyed the show, please hit the like button, and we'll see you next time. All right. Take care.
Take it easy, fellas.
Peace.
Peace.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to offend you.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I kiss you on the mouth.
No, I'm not cool with that. Just, I'm sorry.
One more time.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I mean, I'm dealing with degenerate animals.
I'm disappointed in everyone. Totally fucking disappointed in every one of you.
All right, come on.
Honestly, I can't do it no more.
I'm disappointed in everyone.
Then let me tell you why.
Gonna be all right, Nicky. Go ahead, shoot.
He just killed a little fucking man.
What are you going to do about it?
You happy because you got nothing? You don't got a thing. You happy because you got nothing?
Lomito!
Got nothing.
I want to get out. I want to get out of this rat hole. I want to get online. I need
BDA Boxing.